As an artist, or generally a creative, it's important to have sources of inspiration to draw from. This is often quite hard to do, as you can run into a form of analysis paralysis, meaning that there's so much choice that you become overwhelmed and end up stuck. It's so easy to follow trends that are currently popular and draw something related to that, which is actually a great idea. If you're genuinely excited about a current popular trend, it will be wise to follow it, but sometimes it can be tough. Staring at that blank page, canvas, or whatever you create on, everything's possible, yet you freeze. What do you choose? Well, you might be wondering, why am I playing this old game on the screen? This is Crash Bandicoot for the PlayStation 1, one of my first ever video games, back in the ancient times, when three-dimensional games were a brand new thing. I was really inspired to draw him when introduced to Crash as a 4-year-old kid. I would draw him loads of times and even painted him. And many years later, I decided to go back and draw his sister Coco, which you can see on the screen right here. So why am I talking about Crash Bandicoot? It comes down to the fact that sometimes you need to go back further to the inspirations that got you drawing in the first place. This was one of my inspirations, and it remains a beloved franchise for me till this day. The beautiful part is that as an adult, you can still appreciate the design of the game. They did not have many polygons to work with, and so they had to get creative. Also, the characters were incredibly expressive for its time. Sometimes you just have to go back to your childhood inspirations. Did you like Pokemon as a kid? Well, perhaps maybe draw some once again. Can't hurt, right? Lord of the Rings is a huge inspiration to me still, and it was a very prominent figure in my childhood. I was a very little kid when the movies came out, and I remember being excited for each installment. I used to go to a local town store, and it usually had sticker books of the new movies. I remember when there was like a Lord of the Rings sticker book, and it had images of these orcs in it, and it was so mind-blowing to me. It was unlike anything I had ever seen before, and I loved it. Seeing those orcs and green race was quite intimidating as a little kid of like 5 years old. But it was also super exciting, and the journey that I ended up going on is something that I revisit every year at least once. This is why I've recently made a digital painting of Gandalf, returning to the pillars of my inspiration, the sources that started it all. It can be a really good thing to pay tribute to what made you fall in love with art in the first place. These sources of inspiration from your childhood are often what make you into who you are today. For example, because I was a fan of Lord of the Rings, I quickly became a fan of Warcraft. Why? Because it reminded me of the Lord of the Rings. Coincidentally, when I look at the in-game graphics of World of Warcraft and those of Crash Bandicoot, they give me a similar vibe sometimes, due to their stylized, exaggerated looks. So, if you ever feel uninspired, think of what inspired you to get creative in the first place, and perhaps make something like that. Or at least draw some inspiration from it to get the ball rolling. You'll never know where it might take you, and perhaps it will take you to a place that feels very authentic to what you like yourself. And when you make something that's authentic to you, you'll have a lot more fun creating it in the first place. Also, it's 2025 now. I got quite a lot of creative endeavors planned, so I am excited to show you what's next. Also, I got a little comic going on Webtoon, as some might already know, which has a new page update about every week for the foreseeable future. Feel free to check it out. The link is in the description below. Anyhow, that's it for today. Be sure to keep that adventurous, artistic spirit going, no matter what. See you next time.